Hi everyone, and welcome to House of Vining. With the holidays right around the corner, it's the perfect time to give your 12-foot skeleton a festive makeover. In this video, I'll show you how to create a custom jumbo-sized Santa hat with a removable fluffy beard that will help get your giant skelly through the holidays with style. This project is super easy and beginner-friendly. You can get the pattern I'm using in the House of Vining Pattern Boutique, which I've linked below in the description. It also includes a standard size Santa hat, which you can create following the exact same instructions I'm about to go over. Plus, I'll be showing some tips and techniques for working with faux fur, so you can get that perfect fluffy look for your beard and hat. So, grab your supplies, and let's get started on turning your 12-foot skelly into the ultimate holiday icon. Here's what you'll need. For the hat, 7/8 yard of fleece, velvet, velour, or short pile faux fur fabric in the color of your choice. I'm using black because my skelly is a goth. An optional item you may want is some fusible felt, 7/8 yard as well. This is going to help give extra body and structure to the hat if you're using a fabric that's a little on the floppier side. For the hat band, you'll want a long pile or shaggy faux fur. You'll need 1/4 yard if you're doing the hat band only, or 3/4 yard for the hat plus beard. Be sure the fabric you pick is at least 60 inches in width. For the strap, a 16-inch long piece of elastic, 1/2 inch to 1 inch in width. If you're doing the beard, you'll also need velcro. That velcro should be 3/4 inch wide and 4 inches of total length, cut into two 2-inch long pieces. And last but not least, you'll also want a nice, big, fluffy faux fur pom-pom. This one is 6 inches in diameter and should do the trick for our jumbo skelly hat. Additional tools you'll also need include a sewing machine or a serger/overlock machine, thread to match, fabric shears and/or a rotary cutter, and pins or quilting clips. Some optional tools to consider are a comb, an electric razor, and I definitely recommend having a vacuum and lint rollers on hand because this is going to get real messy. We're going to be working with one or more types of faux fur today, so I wanted to include some info and techniques for working with these materials. When talking about fabric, the general term nap means any one-way directional quality, whether it be a visible nap, such as a print with a clear top and bottom, or a physical nap, such as a velvet or fur, that feels smooth when you run your hand in the direction of the nap and bristly when you run your hand against it. When discussing fabrics with a physical nap, such as the faux furs we'll be using, we use the term pile to define the actual raised fibers of the fabric. Fabrics with a physical nap will have different appearances when they are cut and sewn, with the nap pointing up or down. With velvet or a short pile fur, having the nap pointing up in the finished product makes the color of the fabric look richer and have more dimension. With a long pile fur, having the nap pointing up results in a fluffier appearance with more body and fullness. Your pattern pieces have been marked with one-ended grain lines, where the arrows indicate the direction that the nap or pile should be running in to give the best visible results. To begin, carefully cut out your pattern pieces from the paper. First, we'll cut the main hat pieces, which we need 2 of, so I've folded my fabric in the lengthwise grain direction. If you're using a fabric without a clear nap, just have the grain line running parallel to the selvages to make sure it's on grain. I'm using a short pile faux fur, so I'm going to lay out my pattern piece with the grain line pointing in the direction of the pile, or nap up. This fabric can be cut normally using your fabric shears or a rotary cutter. This is optional, but I'm also going to cut 2 copies of the hat pieces from fusible felt and use my iron to fuse them to the wrong sides of the fabric hat pieces. This will help to give the hat more body and structure. Next, we'll cut the hat band, which we need 1 of. This piece will also be placed nap up with the grain line pointing in the direction of the fabric's pile. But I'm going to flip my fabric over so that the wrong side is facing up and trace my piece directly onto the fabric with a felt tip pen. As I cut, I want to try to cut only the fabric backing and keep all of the actual fur at full length. To do this, I'm going to take the lower blade of my fabric shears and skim it tightly against the fabric backing so that I'm cleanly parting the fur as I make each cut. This will help make it so that the fur doesn't end up getting bluntly chopped along the edges of the piece. After cutting out the piece, I want to also make this a little easier to sew and keep the long fur from getting trapped into the seams. So I'm going to trim the fur down to the backing along the seam allowances. This project has 1/4 inch seam allowances all around. So I want to trim the fur down to the backing 1/4 inch, or maybe even a little more, like 3/8 of an inch. From the 3 edges of the piece, we'll be sewing the 2 short ends and the long edge with the notch. The last edge will be left raw. Even though I usually try to avoid leaving raw edges at all costs, this edge will be covered by the fur. Plus, faux fur is usually on a knit backing which doesn't fray, and it's just a craft project, not couture. You can trim the fur from the seam allowances by using an electric razor and actually shaving it, or by just parting the fur with the tip of your shears or a comb and then trimming this area away with your shears. If you're making the beard, this piece is cut with the pile of the fur pointing down because that's the direction that a beard would grow. Trim away the fur from the velcro area, which is the upper 1 inch at the top of both sideburns. All right, we are finally done with all of our cutting and prep, and we are ready to sew. All of the seams in this project have 1/4 inch seam allowance. They can be sewn on a standard sewing machine, following your 1/4 inch guideline, or on a serger, using a 4-thread overlock stitch and just skimming the edge of the fabric with your knife. I'll be using my serger, so here we go. Place both pieces of the hat with the right sides together. We're going to be sewing the side seams first. As we prepare to sew each seam in this project, you'll want to first pin, clip, or baste the seam in place. I like to baste unruly fabrics and seams like this because I'm crazy, but feel free to secure the fabric edges together with whatever method you like, or none at all if you just want to live life on the edge. Sew both side seams from the bottom up to the tip of the hat. Grab the band and fold it in half with the right sides together, matching up the 2 short ends. Pin, clip, or baste these short ends in place. And sew a seam to connect. If you're using a standard sewing machine, just be sure you're backstitching all of these seams. If you're using a serger, Tie off the ends of the seam by threading the chain through a large hand needle and running it backwards through the seam. With both the hat and the band still wrong side out, place the hat into the circular band, bringing the raw edges together and making sure that the pile of the fur is pointing towards the tip of the hat. Match the side seams of the hat with the seam and notch on the band. You can alternate the directions of the seam allowances to reduce the bulk. Pin, clip, or baste the seam in place. Stitch the band onto the hat with a complete circular seam, starting and ending at one of the side seams. Just a quick tip. If you're using a serger and don't want to just drive off the edge at the end of your seam, lock the knife as you come full circle, overlap your beginning stitches by a bit, and turn the hand wheel away from you a full rotation or two. This will disengage the chain of threads and allow you to overlap and pull off cleanly. Next will be the strap. Grab a 16-inch long piece of elastic, anywhere from 1/2 inch to 1 inch in width, and mark 1/2 inch from both ends. Fold the band downward and place the ends of the elastic at the side seams as shown, matching the 1/2 inch that was marked to the band seam of the hat. Stitch each end in place just above the band seam. I'm going to sew 2 rows of stitches to make it extra secure for windy days. If you're making the beard, then now's the time to attach the Velcro. Separate both sides of the Velcro. Position the loop side of the Velcro on the inside of the hat, placing both just in front of the strap and above the band seam. My Velcro has adhesive backing that allows me to just stick it in place. For non-adhesive Velcro, just use a pin to secure it until it's sewn. Stitch in place around the perimeter of the Velcro. Just a note here, the thickness of the Velcro can lead to broken needles and machine tension problems really easily, so if this is happening to you, I recommend using a size 100 leather needle for the Velcro, which helped me out a lot. With the right side of the beard facing up, place the hook sides of the Velcro at the top of each sideburn where you've already trimmed the fur, and stitch in place just as you did on the hat. Time for the pom-pom. Turn the hat right side out and grab a hand sewing needle and thread. I'm going to go ahead and quadruple thread my needle so I don't have to loop around as many times. Knot your thread and take a big stitch at the tip of the hat to begin. I'm honestly not using any special stitch here, but my pom-pom has this little loop that I'm going to take advantage of as I stitch back and forth between the tip of the hat and the pom-pom. When it feels secure, take a stitch and bring your needle through the loop of thread to tie it off, and repeat 1 or 2 more times. Fold the band up if you haven't already. And attach the beard at the Velcro. Ooh, Skelly's gonna love this. Your 12-foot skeleton is now ready to take on the holidays with a festive new look. I hope you had as much fun making this as I did. Remember, the pattern is available in the House of Vining Pattern Boutique, linked below, and you can use it to create both the jumbo-sized hat and a matching standard-sized one for you. Don't forget to hit that like button if you found this video helpful, and leave a comment below to let me know how your giant skelly turned out. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss any upcoming tutorials. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time here at House of Vining. Happy sewing and happy holidays!